Good morning, good morning. Big Weir, roadrooter.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. A couple things about yesterday's rant on Trump not just releasing all of the documents of the JFK assassination. Clear sign that there's going to be more delays in this process of the transition. My advice was always to pull the Band-Aid. Just rip it out, and it's going to be chaotic no matter what happens. In 6 months, it's not going to be less chaotic. The fear, it comes in, looking back through history, it is the delay of the exposure of these criminals that has caused all our problems. It gives them more time to figure out ways around getting disclosure to the people about just how criminal our government is. There's some hope in what Trump said about it, and I will go over that in the Friday road trip for private road members. But I am going to do the same thing I did in 2015, which was sell a portion of my silver investments to buy cryptos, and then as the cryptos rise much higher than silver does, as we saw throughout the 2 years, I'm going to sell some cryptos to buy back many times the amount of silver I sold. So I'm going to do that again. And so I'm selling silver in the $16.50, $17 range. And I'm going to be buying a few cryptos that I will point out which ones I think will grow the most over the next 6 months. A very important 6 months, too, for the cryptos. I'll put that out on the Friday road trip. And then we'll see where it goes, see if it works again. You know, last time I sold silver and bought back about 5 times as much silver as I had sold. So will that happen again? I think at least 5 times. I'm shooting for 10 times the amount of silver that I'll be buying back in June or July of next year. Yes, I might be buying it back at $25, $30, but still the cryptos are going to go up massively compared to what silver, the manipulation of silver, will continue absolutely for the next 6 months. And so that's my play. And as you can see, the manipulation of silver is 100% under control. Right here is when Jamie Dimon put Bill Daley as Obama's chief of staff to rig the price of silver up to $50 from $20 and then back down, and then he left. So it was 1 year. I call it Operation JP Morgan's Operation Silver Slam. Absolutely under control. How hard is it to sell a trillion ounces of silver with the click of a mouse when you have silver derivatives in play? It's easy, and that's what Steve Mnuchin was put there for. Steve Mnuchin was the head of IT for Goldman Sachs. That gives you a hint of how much computer knowledge he has. Computer rigging knowledge, absolutely. The question about Steve Mnuchin is, was he involved in the sex trafficking, sex parties in Hollywood when he was there as a producer, much like Weinstein and all the other people being outed right now? I would guess absolutely he was knee-deep in that stuff, so he might be outed in the very near future, which would take the reins out of the silver riggers' hands. So we will see what happens there. But for now, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell a portion of my silver. Last time it was 20%, and I'm taking probably 20% of my silver this time too, expecting to buy back that silver at 100% gain, easy, putting back twice as much silver. I would expect more like 5 or 6 times as much silver to be replaced by the silver I sell today based on my investments in the cryptos. I got some companies that are about to come to market. Very exciting. And I'll talk about that in the Friday road trip. But those are the companies you want to invest in. And the cryptocurrencies you want to buy are not the ones who are, peaking out. Not peaking, but really high valuations like Bitcoin and I would say Ethereum to an extent. Ripple I wouldn't invest in. Litecoin will be on my list of purchases. But some of these companies that are about to produce products and get a lot of press in the crypto sphere, and 2018 is the breakout year for the cryptos according to Cliff's data, and I am going to place my bets again with Cliff High and his WebBot data. So I see monster moves coming up for certain companies in that crypto space. and it's very exciting. Let's quickly go over the zero hedge. Trump did release a lot of documents, and then, of course, there's more things. J. Edgar Hoover, who was involved in the assassination, he was the head of the CIA at the time, I believe. We need to convince the public that Oswald is the real assassin. This is in the recently released documents. The thing I'm concerned about is having something issued so we can convince the public that Oswald is the real assassin. It was, oh my God, it's so obvious. And they are hiding the real juicy stuff still for the next 180 days, but we'll get it. Sooner or later, it'll come out. Spain is absolutely falling into chaos. I'm pretty concerned that my son is in Spain right now. He's in southern Spain. Most of this is happening near Catalonia, which is the north. I think it's the northeast part of Spain. But it's not good for the whole country and the banks, especially, and the Eurozone in general. So I expect a lot of chaos happening there, although the market riggers will do everything to say this is a one-off isolated incident and it's not going to affect the markets as they rig the markets every day. Amazon, huge valuation for this company that barely makes any money. Earnings per share expectations are way down. I mean, that whole Amazon thing, if you build it, they will come. Yes, but what does it cost to build it? I've never bought into the Amazon model, but it seems to work in a rigged market and with the people's eyes wide shut. We'll see what happens to Amazon and the rest of the stock market. I do think the stock market will probably go to 100,000, where it's 23 now, because of the manipulation, because of the hyperinflation has to go somewhere. And the only way to delay the collapse is to hyperinflate everything, which means the Fed, all the central banks buying stocks, printing money and buying stocks. And Bitcoin will be Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency is a huge beneficiary of all that printing. It's part of my plan on why I'm investing in cryptos. The sloshing of money absolutely in 2018 will be the breakout year for the cryptos. So I'm excited about that. The $2 trillion hole in 2019, central bank liquidity finally turns negative. We are well past the peak in global asset buying by central banks. The start of 2019 should mark the point where year-over-year asset purchases finally turn negative. A trend change that will come after 4 straight years of expansion. You can't go back. Once you have gone this far, they're going to continue to print and continue to print, hyperinflate this stuff out ad infinitum, as long as they can. It's also written in the sand in the original Road to Root documents. They're going to print money to infinity. Now, the thing that happens as you get farther and farther down that path, things tend to accelerate. So the hyperinflation will really kick in 2018. They'll print printing money to cover every mistake, every problem, bail out every bank. And a lot of that money is going to leak into the cryptos, not gold and silver, because it's going to continue to be manipulated. Yes, I think at some point they will break free of the manipulation. And when that happens, you'll be very happy you're a silver holder and a gold holder. The day that it breaks free of the manipulation, everything kind of stops anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. So if you're looking to make the biggest returns on your investment, as in fiat money terms, not in ounces and not in coins, crypto coins, then the system will continue to hang on, and the cryptocurrencies and the crypto tokens, I think, and I've been right for a long time now, I think we'll continue to soak up the hyperinflation money. And as the old system breaks down and more people understand that they don't have to be beholden to central banks and the DTCC and brokerage houses and criminal for-profit banks that cheat, lie, and steal every time they turn around, then they can look at the cryptocurrencies. You can be your own bank. And that's the huge thing about cryptos. It's decentralized. No one's in charge of it, because everybody's in charge of it. All right, an army of lobbyists is coming to kill tax reform. I think tax reform will actually happen. I think that's one of the trade-offs Trump made with the deep state. I think he is using the Kennedy, the real juicy papers, the real juicy documents as a bargaining tool. So I think he's going to get tax reform through. But does it matter? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The tax, the theory of taxes can only be collected if the system's still running. And if the derivative bubble goes, it's good night every bank. So, yeah, they're going to try to stretch it and stretch it and stretch it. So most likely they'll get tax reform. I'm sure that Trump used his power to the very last minute with the JFK papers to influence whoever he needed to influence in the deep state. That you do this for me, and I'll delay this thing for you. I'm not a fan of that. No, absolutely not. I think we deserve the truth. Back in the early 1960s, we would have never been in this spot. We would have never gone through all these wars, and we would have never had all these, the criminality that has gone on in Washington and New York and in Southern California. Southern California, mind you. Southern. Yes, there's criminality everywhere, but Southern California is the worst, if you ask me. Of course, I'm in Northern California. All right, anything else exciting? Venezuela avoided default with critical PDVSA debt payment. This is their oil company. They're about to go under. $842 million was paid, although there hasn't been a confirmation that it went through. It would have caused all kinds of problems in their debt market, which, I mean, the debt market is ridiculous anyway. And then they have another $1.2 billion due on, I think it's early November. But that one has a 30-day reprieve that they can miss the payment and wait 30 days. This is how bad it is all over the world, and it's not going to change. DOD, Department of Defense, plans solar storm-based national blackout drill during Antifa protests in November. Keep an eye out for that. Let's find out when that is. I mean, they always run these tests when something big is going to happen. I'm sure there'll be another false flag coming up very soon, but we'll see what happens. According to the National Association of Amateur Radio, the ARRL, elements of the U.S. Department of Defense will simulate a communication inoperability. I can see them shutting down the internet and saying it's just a test. Just on 9/11, there was all those tests going on and drills going on. Happens with every single false flag. So let's find out when the date is to get ready to hunker down. This exercise will begin with a national massive coronal mass ejection event, which will impact the national power grid as well as all forms of traditional communications. Blah, blah, blah. In April 2017, we wrote an article, yesterday's broad power outage likely caused by geometric storm. While everyone thought terrorism was to blame, we correctly pointed out that large power failures in major U.S. cities was due to intense geometric storm. This is a cool article. Go check it out at Zero Hedge. It's got some good graphics on how this all works. Let's find out when the Antifa protests are. All right, where's the date? November 4th. November 4th, you got the Soros-backed Antifa rallies. That's next, what is it, Saturday? Is that November 4th? Let's see, first, second, no, Friday. Anyway, next weekend they're going to do Antifa, and they're going to run this this test. And so, yeah, everybody needs to be prepared for our government doing insane things, the deep state doing insane things, the Soros-funded Antifa people doing insane things. Then it brings out the white nationalists, and that's what they're trying to cause. They're trying to cause an uproar. They want a civil war is what they really want, not necessarily a global nuclear war, because that will be protected by certain people much higher than us. So that's not going to happen, but definitely the deep state would love a civil war to get them out of their little issue right now. So hang on tight, my friends. We got some trouble coming down the pike for next week, the end of next week. Let's just all be safe and know your Bitcoin's not going to go away. The internet will be back up, and you have the exact amount of Bitcoin as you had before. But yeah, you need a little silver, but you need more than silver. I'd say you need some cash. Silver does not work during short-term chaos, which was proven in Costa Rica. People who had gold and silver, yes, they cashed it into pawn shops, but they were getting 50 cents on the dollar. Cash was much more valuable, and not many people could do it because the pawn shops obviously ran out of cash too. So the cash was king on the short-term problem, and I think definitely load up on cash before next week if you can. And but when things settle out after the chaos, we're back to the same philosophy. The cryptocurrencies are going to be ruling the world after 2018 is my take, is when the really the grand opening to a larger part of the population. It's very exciting. If you invest now, you're buying the monsters. And if you pick the right ones, you're going to do very well for the rest of your life. You'll never have to work again, even for a small investment. Look at the people who originally put $100 on Bitcoin in the very early days. They're multimillionaires now. The same thing can happen to you. And it's been proven time and time again with the cryptos. If you buy the right one and you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to do extremely well. And it is the wave of the future, so you better get on board. Anyway, this is Weir. I will be posting the Friday road trip either later today or tomorrow, and it breaks down a few things, including the ex-head of the U.S. Mint endorsing cryptos and Buffett dissing cryptos. Remember Buffett? If you follow the road to Ruta, Buffett is trying to steer the big money away, just like Martin Armstrong, from the reality of, because if the big money gets in right now, the majority of the population will be left out, and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds would own everything. So Buffett is definitely in on destroying the bad guys. Same with Martin Armstrong. So they have both come out to poo-poo the cryptos. Of course, Buffett's track record with picking technological innovations is less than 0% accurate. So I think it's a great sign that Buffett doesn't like the cryptos, just like he didn't like the internet. So we'll see what happens. This is Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you later.